chosen one of the light. Hear me clearly. Something extraordinary is unfolding right now. The forces that drained you, the people who took advantage of your generosity, the systems that delayed your breakthrough, they are facing their moment of reckoning. And if you are hearing this message, it is no coincidence. Your spirit is ready. Your season is turning. This is the exact moment you were meant to receive this word. If you feel that resonance in your chest, that quiet, knowing that this message is for you, go ahead and leave a comment. Just type the word ready. Because what I am about to share with you will shift something inside that has been waiting to move. You have been carrying something heavy, not just disappointment, not just frustration. You have been carrying the weight of injustice, the kind that happens when you do everything right, when you operate with integrity, when you give your best, and still watch others benefit from what you built. You stayed quiet. You trusted the process. You believed that eventually the truth would surface and balance would be restored. Here is what I need you to understand. What was taken from you was not random. It was targeted. They did not take just your ideas, your effort, or your resources. They took your momentum. They took your peace of mind. They took the confidence you used to carry before you learned how calculated some people can be, and for a time it appeared they walked away untouched. No consequences, no accountability, just silence. But silence is not the same as absence. Silence is often the sound of something legal happening behind the scenes. There is a law that governs the unseen, a spiritual law that cannot be bribed, manipulated, or ignored. When someone touches what has been marked by heaven, they are not entering conflict with you. They are entering a case with a higher court. And that court does not operate on human timelines. It operates on precision. Let me say this as clearly as I can. The delay you experienced was not neglect. It was preparation. Evidence was being gathered. Patterns were being documented. Motives were being fully exposed. Not to you, but to the authority that actually matters. And now, the time of waiting is complete. Think about this for a moment. In any legitimate legal process, there is investigation before judgment. There is documentation before sentencing. The more serious the offense, the more thorough the process. What you have been living through was not divine indifference. It was divine due process. And when heaven builds a case, it builds it completely. If this is landing in your spirit, take a moment and hit that like button. Not for me, but as an act of agreement with what is shifting in your favor right now. Every moment where you chose restraint over retaliation, you were protecting your own case. Every time you stayed silent when you could have exposed someone, you were allowing heaven to work without interference. Every night you cried instead of cursed, you were positioning yourself under a covering that your enemies cannot access. They may have walked away temporarily, but they walked away from protection. You stayed covered. There is something you need to understand about spiritual timing. When things happen quickly, the results are often temporary. When things take time, the results are permanent. What is being arranged for you right now is not a short-term win. It is a long-term repositioning. The foundation being laid cannot be shaken because it is not built on human effort. It is built on divine order. You have probably asked yourself many times, why did this take so long? Why did I have to endure year after year of watching them prosper while I struggled? Here is why. If the reversal had come earlier, you would not have been ready to steward it. If the doors had opened before now, you would have walked through them carrying wounds that would have sabotaged what you built. The delay was not punishment. It was preparation. You needed time to heal in ways you did not even know you were broken. What is happening is not simply payback. This is not a one-for-one exchange. What is coming is a full reversal. The structures they built on deception are losing their foundation. The advantages they gained through manipulation are being withdrawn. The doors that opened for them because of what they stole are beginning to close. And what they thought was secure is revealing itself to be temporary. Understand this clearly. When Scripture speaks of reaping what you sow, it is not speaking metaphorically. It is describing a law as reliable as gravity. You cannot violate it without consequence. They planted seeds of deception, manipulation, and theft. And while you were waiting, those seeds were growing. Not into blessing, into exposure. What they built is collapsing from the inside out, and it is happening in ways that cannot be blamed on you. The fingerprints on their downfall belong to their own choices. There is a phrase that matters here: self-inflicted consequences. They are not being attacked. They are being exposed by the weight of their own actions. The structure they built looked stable because it was held together by secrecy. But secrets do not stay hidden forever. Light always finds the cracks. And when it does, what appeared solid crumbles rapidly. You may not hear an apology, you may not receive a confession, but you will see movement. You will witness sudden changes that make no logical sense except through the lens of divine intervention. A position opens that was told you would never be available. A conversation shifts in a room you are not even in. An alliance that seemed unbreakable begins to fracture. A project that excluded you suddenly loses momentum. Pay attention to the details. Heaven does not move chaotically when divine justice manifests. It manifests through order. You will not need to announce it. You will not need to point it out. People will see it on their own and wonder how things shifted so suddenly. Some will even ask you what changed, and your answer will be simple. Nothing changed externally. Everything changed internally. You stopped fighting and started trusting. This is not chaos. This is order being restored. You were not put through that season to be broken. You were put through it to be refined. And now, what is returning to you is not just what you lost. It is what you were always meant to carry: influence, clarity, authority that does not need to be defended because it is rooted in something real. There is an ancient story about a man who built a trap for someone he envied. He spent time, resources, and energy constructing a device meant to destroy. But the morning it was meant to be used, the trap turned. The person who designed it fell into it himself. That was not luck. That was a spiritual principle at work. The same principle that is active in your situation right now. The enemy prepared a setup, but they miscalculated. They did not realize that what they were building would become their own exposure. You were never supposed to fight this battle. You were supposed to stay faithful, stay grounded, and let heaven handle the legal work. I have lived this myself. I know what it is like to watch someone rise using what you labored over. I know the confusion of seeing doors open for them while yours remained locked. I know the quiet nights where you replay moments, wondering if you were too kind, too trusting, too patient. That doubt did not come from failure. It came from integrity trying to make sense of injustice. Take a breath here. If you are still with me, leave a comment with the number 777. Let that be a marker, a sign of alignment with this moment. What was stolen from you was more than material. It was emotional energy. It was time that should have been compounding in your own life. It was the ability to trust without hesitation. They did not just take opportunity, they took peace. And for a season, it looked like there would be no consequences. But consequences do not announce themselves. They arrive. Here is what you need to prepare for. Restoration is not just about getting back what was lost. It is about stepping into what you were always meant to occupy. And that means some things in your life right now are about to shift rapidly. Relationships that drained you will naturally dissolve. Environments that limited you will become uncomfortable. Opportunities that align with who you are becoming will present themselves, often without you pursuing them. This is not something you force. This is something you recognize and receive. Let me be specific about what restoration looks like when it is real and not just emotional hype. First, you will notice increased clarity. Decisions that used to paralyze you will become obvious. You will know what to say yes to and what to decline without needing to overanalyze. That clarity is not coming from you trying harder. It is coming from alignment. Second, you will experience unexpected favor. Doors will open that you did not even know existed. Resources will become available that were not there last month. People will reach out to you, not because you chased them, but because something about your presence shifted and they sensed it. This is not luck. This is the result of spiritual repositioning that happened while you were waiting. Third, your energy will stabilize. You have been running on survival mode for so long that you forgot what it feels like to operate from rest. Restoration brings a deep internal steadiness that is not dependent on external circumstances. You will sleep better. You will think clearer. You will feel lighter, not because your problems disappeared, but because the weight of injustice has been transferred off your shoulders. Fourth, old patterns will lose their grip. You will find yourself no longer replaying conversations from the past. You will stop checking to see what they are doing. You will lose interest in proving anything to anyone. That is not denial. That is freedom. Freedom is not loud. It settles quietly. You may begin to notice that conversations feel different. People who dismissed you will suddenly take interest. Invitations will come from places that previously ignored you. Resources will appear that were not available a month ago. This is not luck. This is realignment. When heaven restores, it does not restore quietly. It restores in a way that leaves no confusion about who intervened. You are not being elevated to make a point. You are being elevated to establish order. There is a table being set, not for revenge, but for demonstration. Those who doubted your integrity will adjust their language. Those who underestimated your endurance will reconsider their assumptions. I want to speak to something specific here. There may be people from the past who begin to reappear, not always to apologize. Sometimes just to observe where you are now. How you respond internally matters more than what you say externally. You do not need to reopen doors to prove you have healed. Healing speaks through boundaries just as clearly as it speaks through forgiveness. Here is what I have learned through my own journey. Some people will return because they sense the shift in you and want to benefit from this new season. But not everyone who returns deserves access. Discernment is knowing the difference between someone who is genuinely changed and someone who is simply adapting their strategy. You do not owe anyone an explanation for keeping certain doors closed. There is a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself. It releases you from the prison of bitterness. Reconciliation is something that requires two people, mutual acknowledgement, and genuine change. You can forgive someone completely and still decide that the relationship served its purpose and does not need to be resurrected. That is not hardness. That is wisdom. Watch for people who only reach out when your season changes. Watch for those who disappeared when things were difficult but reappear when things improve. Their timing tells you everything you need to know about their motive. True relationships do not wait for success to show support. They show up in the struggle. As you move forward, you will also need to be prepared for something uncomfortable. Not everyone will celebrate your restoration. Some people were comfortable with you being down because it made them feel better about their own stagnation. Your rise will challenge them in ways they are not ready to confront. They may disguise their discomfort as concern. They may frame their jealousy as caution. Do not internalize their resistance. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what your progress reveals about their own choices. Forgiveness does not require access. You are allowed to forgive completely and still move forward without revisiting what harmed you. That is not coldness. That is wisdom that comes from experience. As stability begins to settle into your life again, you might feel an unexpected sense of calm. Not the silence of waiting, but the quiet of order. Chaos demands constant attention. Order creates space, and in that space, creativity returns, inspiration returns, confidence returns without needing to compare yourself to anyone. This is one of the most significant shifts you will notice. Your creativity, which may have felt blocked for years, will suddenly flow again. Ideas will come without force. Solutions will appear without panic. You will find yourself thinking about possibilities instead of problems. That is not positive thinking. That is the natural result of operating from safety instead of survival. When your nervous system is constantly in threat mode, it shuts down non-essential functions. Creativity is one of them. Innovation requires a sense of safety. Vision requires mental space. Neither can flourish when you are in fight or flight. But as restoration settles, your internal system recalibrates. You move from surviving to thriving. And in that shift, capacities that were dormant begin to awaken. You may also notice changes in how you dream, not just while sleeping, but in how you envision your future. For years, your dreams may have felt small, limited by past disappointments. You stopped allowing yourself to imagine big because every time you did, something happened to crush it. But now, you will feel permission rising inside you. Permission to dream again, permission to want more. Permission to believe that what you desire is actually possible. If you are feeling this shift, even just slightly, go ahead and share where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments, because divine justice is not abstract. It manifests in real places with real people. Some of you have been afraid that if you allow yourself to enjoy this season, you will become vulnerable again. That fear is understandable, but it does not belong here. Enjoyment does not invite loss. Carelessness does. And you are not careless anymore. You have discernment now. You can sense when something aligns with your values and when it only appeals to ego. That discernment will protect what you build more effectively than fear ever could. Let me address that fear directly because it is real and it is common. After you have been burned, it is natural to be cautious around fire, but the goal is not to avoid fire forever. The goal is to learn how to use it without being consumed by it. You do not need to live in fear of another betrayal to protect yourself from one. You need to live in wisdom, and wisdom knows the difference between healthy risk and reckless exposure. Fear keeps you small, wisdom keeps you safe while allowing you to grow. The difference is critical. Fear says trust no one. Wisdom says trust carefully. Fear says protect everything. Wisdom says protect what matters and release what does not. Fear operates from scarcity. Wisdom operates from abundance. You are not being asked to relive the past to avoid repeating it. You are being asked to integrate what you learned and move forward with clarity. This is also a season where your voice will carry weight. Not because you are louder, but because you are grounded. People may seek your perspective. They may ask how you remained steady when everything was falling apart. You do not need to dramatize your story. Your presence answers most questions without words. There is also something humble I need to mention. Some of the people who hurt you did not fully understand the impact of what they did. That does not excuse them, but it releases you from carrying resentment. Resentment is heavy, and you do not need to carry it now. You are moving too quickly to be slowed by unnecessary weight. As you continue forward, you may find yourself redefining success. It is no longer just about outcomes. It is about sustainability. It is about peace. It is about alignment between who you are and what you do. That redefinition will guide your decisions more accurately than ambition alone ever did. Trust the pull you feel right now. It is not restlessness. It is direction. You are being drawn toward people, places, and opportunities that can support who you have become, not who you used to be. That may mean releasing certain roles, routines, or relationships, not in anger, in clarity. Let me talk about something that often gets overlooked in messages about restoration stewardship. When heaven restores, it does not just give you back what you lost, it entrusts you with more. And with that comes responsibility, not burden responsibility. There is a difference. You are entering a season where what you do matters more than it did before. Not because heaven is grading you, but because you now carry influence that affects more than just yourself. People are watching, not to judge you, but to learn from you. Your choices, your responses, your integrity in this new season will either confirm or contradict the message your life has been preaching. This is why character was developed in the waiting. Talent can take you to a place that character cannot keep you. Opportunity can open a door that integrity must walk through. Heaven does not rush this process because shortcuts create weak foundations. What you are being given now is not just a blessing, it is a platform. And platforms require people who know how to handle weight without becoming proud, and favor without becoming foolish. Some of you will be tempted to move quickly now that doors are opening. Resist that urge. Speed does not always equal progress. Sometimes the fastest way forward is to move at the pace of peace. When you rush, you make decisions based on fear of missing out. When you move at peace, you make decisions based on alignment. One creates chaos, the other creates legacy. You will also need to be mindful of who you allow to advise you in this season. Not everyone who gives advice has your best interest at heart. Some people counsel from their own limitations and project their fears onto your possibilities. Be selective. Seek wisdom from those who have been where you are going, not from those who are stuck where you used to be. Clarity does not require explanation. There will be moments where you need to make decisions that do not make sense to everyone around you. That is okay. You are not required to defend every move. Some things are between you and heaven. Honor that sacred space. Not everything needs to be announced, explained, or justified. Quiet confidence is powerful. Before we go further, if this message has spoken to something deep inside you, do me a favor. Subscribe and stay connected to this flow. Because what is being released here is not random content. It is alignment with a frequency that your spirit recognizes. Gratitude may begin to rise unexpectedly, not forced thankfulness, but genuine appreciation for what you learned through difficulty. That gratitude is not approval of pain. It is recognition of growth that now allows you to stand where you are without bitterness. You did not waste those years. They prepared you. And now, as you step into restoration, remember this. You are not walking alone. Here is something that may surprise you. You will find yourself grateful for the people who betrayed you, not because what they did was right, but because what they did revealed something in you that would not have surfaced any other way, strength you did not know you had, resilience that only develops under pressure, character that only forms through testing. They thought they were destroying you. They were actually developing you. That does not mean you invite them back into your life. That does not mean you minimize what they did. It means you recognize that even their worst intentions could not override heaven's purpose for your life. What they meant for harm, heaven redirected for preparation. Joseph said it. I am simply reminding you that the principle is still active. You are walking with wisdom earned, discernment sharpened, and faith that has been tested and proven. That combination is rare, and that is why what you are building now will last. Let me speak to those of you who feel like you lost too much time. You look around and see people your age who are already established, already successful, already where you thought you would be by now, and you wonder if you can ever catch up. Here is what you need to know. You are not behind. You are being repositioned. And when heaven repositions someone, it does not happen incrementally. It happens suddenly. One moment can change a decade of delay. One conversation can open what 10 years of effort could not. One divine introduction can surpass what 100 networking events failed to produce. You have not been forgotten. You have been prepared, and prepared people do not climb slowly. They are launched. Let me bring this to a close with a truth that needs to settle in your spirit. The reversal you have been sensing is not future tense. It is present tense. The wheels are already in motion. Doors that were sealed are beginning to open. Conversations that excluded you are being reconsidered. Systems that blocked you are being restructured. You are not standing in a season of waiting. You are standing in a season of becoming, and what you are becoming is someone who no longer needs to prove anything, because the evidence of heaven's favor is visible in how you move. You may not see everything shift overnight, but you will see signs, small confirmations that will grow into undeniable patterns. A phone call that changes trajectory, an email that opens a pathway, a conversation that reconnects you to opportunity. These are not coincidences. These are orchestrations. Pay attention to peace. Peace is the most accurate indicator that you are moving in the right direction. When something aligns with this season, you will feel it in your body. When something does not, you will sense resistance. Trust that internal compass. It has been recalibrated through everything you endured. Here is how you will know something is truly from this season of restoration. It will feel both exciting and peaceful at the same time. Excitement without peace is usually ego. Peace without excitement is usually settling. But when both are present, you are in alignment. That combination is rare and should be honored when it appears. There is one more thing. The people who benefit from your rise in this season will be different from those in the past. These will be people who see your value without needing to diminish it. They will celebrate your progress without feeling threatened by it. They will invest in you without trying to control you. That shift in relational dynamics is part of the restoration. You are not returning to old networks. You are being introduced to new ones. Networks that match your maturity, your vision, and your capacity. Do not try to hold on to connections that no longer fit. Release them with grace and make room for what is aligned. Some of those old connections were training grounds. They taught you what to look for and what to avoid. They showed you red flags you will never ignore again. They revealed patterns you will never tolerate again. Do not regret those connections. Honor what they taught you and move forward wiser. As this message comes to a close, I want you to take one deep breath. Feel the weight lifting. Notice the clarity returning. Recognize the strength that has been rebuilt inside you. You are not the same person who entered that season of loss. You are stronger, wiser, and more discerning. The enemies who stole from you are losing everything, not because you cursed them, but because the law of heaven is precise. What they built on deception cannot stand. What they gained through manipulation cannot last, and what they thought they secured is being removed. You do not need to monitor their fall. You need to focus on your rise. Keep your eyes forward. Keep your spirit steady, and trust that what is unfolding is exactly what was meant to happen. Let me say this one more time because it matters. You were not a victim of random misfortune. You were a target of strategic attack. But what your enemy did not realize is that targeting someone under heaven's protection does not weaken them. It activates a level of defense and recompense that goes beyond what human effort could ever produce. They picked the wrong one. And now they are learning that lesson in ways that cannot be undone. If this word has strengthened your faith, let me know. Comment amen or drop a heart emoji. Let this be a moment of agreement between your spirit and the truth you just received. You are standing in your appointed time. The season of restoration is not coming. It is here. Walk into it with confidence. Walk into it with peace. And walk into it knowing that heaven has already gone before you to prepare the way. Go in strength. The reversal is active. The blessing is released. And everything your spirit has been sensing is about to be confirmed in ways you can see, touch, and experience. This is your moment. Do not doubt it. Do not delay it. Step into it fully, knowing you are covered, guided, and favored. The table is set. The doors are opening, and what comes next will leave no question about who defended you. Stay faithful, stay focused, and watch what heaven does when it moves on your behalf together. We rise toward the light.